on television. Where is James? James, where
I'm in,
are you?
I'm in a
Nitro.
I'm in a what used to be the podcast studio. It used to be the podcast studio, and now I don't know what it is. It's like a photo room. So they have all your lights, a big case for lights.
Yeah.
It looked
Yeah,
like
but
you
somebody
Yeah.
somebody let me in here as opposed to making me go sit in that little weird cubicle room. So at least maybe we have better audio. I don't know.
No, you sound great. You definitely don't sound like you're in a concrete crypt like you did last time.
You've been too
Little
aggressive on
sketch.
the top and get James right now.
Yeah, you do look like you're on the set of a professional wrestling like broadcast. Like I'm fully expecting like Deuce Mason to do a swanton bomb from right behind
He's
you.
gonna come in. Hey, what are you doing here? Hey, leave him alone.
I'm gonna go off the top rope here anytime.
Yes,
I'm
please
just gonna
do.
climb up and jump down.
Please do. Going mankind that joint right off the top.
I know we got a bunch of Kings to talk about, James, but James could talk to this a little bit. It's official now. We joke, but it is official. Jimmy Garoppolo is released by the Raiders. But the bigger news here in the Northern California region, Eric Armstead officially going to be released by the 49ers. The longest tenured 49er is going to be released. And man, I wish they could have found a way to make something happen. That sucks.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, he's a friend of the show. We had him on one of the first weeks we were doing this thing. Kyle was able to reach out. I know he's close with my guy Shan Cunningham as well. I think everybody was hoping that they'd figure out something. But like, look, at the end of the day, you can see what the Niners are doing on that defensive line. Every guy they bring in has played like 99 consecutive games or 68 out of 70 games. And unfortunately for Eric, he's missed, 13 games over the last 2 seasons. He's still got a lot left in the tank. I just think that, at a certain point, your salary versus, games played and effectiveness when you are there, it comes into play. And unfortunately, he's, this is a business, man. It is at 31 years old or 30, whatever it is. He's kind of pushing the envelope on what it is to be an NFL player and how effective you can be. So I hope he lands somewhere soft. I was hoping that they would rework his contract and that, the open market, he would see that there wasn't a lot out there, but the Niners have attacked that position pretty strong over the last, 48 hours. And, who knows if they can bring him back at this point.
You mentioned Sean. If memory serves me correctly, it was Eric Armstead who broke the news that Sean Cunningham was headed to Fox 40.
That is how that happened. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's yeah.
Sports media reporter Eric Armstead.
Yeah, that's exactly
that's right.
David Lombardi kind of broke down that this will open up $18 million of cap space for the 49ers. He's going to be released, but it's going to be designated for June 1st. That looks to be the plan.
Malik Collins a big deal?
Huh?
We didn't get to talk about that. Malik Collins a big deal?
Yeah. I think, like James pointed out, they're looking for guys that are going to be able to play on a consistent basis. And I think they're looking a lot for depth. I don't think they were never going to get like the Danielle Hunter types.
Yeah.
But they need depth on a defensive line. And now with Greenlaw's injury in the linebacking core, they got old boy from the Chargers. I'm drawing a blank right now, but they got him to help out with Greenlaw. And now they're going to have a little bit more money. Maybe they can do a little bit more.
To Kendricks?
Kendricks.
Yeah, Kendricks.
Kendricks.
Yeah. I think, it's a little bit like what we deal with here with the Kings. Like the Kings, the last 2 seasons have the fewest injuries in the NBA, and it's because they have players who historically don't get injured. And sometimes when you get deep into the season in the NFL, you start looking at your injury report and you got, 7 guys who are meaningful, impactful players who aren't able to go for long stretches. That's tough. And so I don't blame the Niners for looking for guys who have a proven track record of staying healthy. That doesn't mean that they will stay healthy at the NFL level. But, unfortunately for Eric, the injury bug did hit him. And, but hey, that doesn't take away from who he is or what he's meant to the Elk Grove community, what he's meant to the San Francisco community. He's a tremendous, tremendous advocate for the kids in his community And he's going to continue to be that for a long time here in Sacramento.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no past tense with that
Yeah,
stuff.
that
Like
ain't ending.
his time with the 49ers may be over, but there's no past tense to the impact that Eric has on the Sacramento or Elk Grove or the surrounding areas, communities. Man, he's a staple here. Period. Good to transition.
Yeah.
Casey? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the Kings, Hammer, as they get the big win last night. Of course, they've got to follow that up with the game against the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. We do know that Trey Lyles has already been ruled out with the left knee sprain that he suffered last night. Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray listed as questionable. One thing that your partner on the Insider said last night in talking with Mike Brown, Kyle Madsen asked about Keon Ellis being in the starting lineup, and Mike was like, I don't think that's something we're looking to do right now, but what I do need to do is figure out a way to make sure Keon Ellis stays on the floor a lot when we play. And given the news that we have about potential injuries tonight, it sounds like Keon Ellis is going to play a lot tonight against the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that he is. And, to be honest with you, I think he's a really good matchup against D'Angelo Russell, just like he was a really good matchup last night against Damian Lillard. When you have a young kid who can come in and somehow limit one of the greatest scorers that we've seen in the league, one of the greatest long distance shooters that we've seen in the league, and Damian Lillard, to just 2 of 12 from the field and hold him to 10 points. That's really impressive. And, it took an army. I'm not just putting all on Keon. I think the Kings as a whole did a good job on Dame. But like Keon brings something different. He's got that je ne sais quoi, that's something special that you just can't put your finger on. And for me, he brings energy, he brings passion. He hits his 3-point shots when he gets an opportunity. But his ability to fight through screens, his ability to bring just like his activity to the court is something I think is unmatched on this roster right now, outside of maybe a guy like Malik Monk. And, Monk does it, via the offensive end. And Keon just brings it on the defensive end. So I think he's going to get a shot if Kevin can't go and if Keegan can't go. But either way, I think he's earned his spot into this rotation over the next 18 games to see what he can bring. And I'm glad that they converted him from a two-way contract to a main roster contract. So now he's eligible for the postseason as well.
Yeah, he brings a level of grit to this team that on the defensive end that we're always talking about. We want to see and we want this group to have. Hey, I said it in what game was that? It might have been the San Antonio. I don't know. It was a game at home. Oh no, it might have been the Lakers game. It's whenever he plays. It doesn't matter. His fundamentals defensively combined with his effort are maybe the best on the team. I mean, when I talk about fundamental, I'm like the way he help and recovers, the way he's in help defense, the way he's there in help defense to pick off a pass that's coming through the lane. Like he's in the right spot that you're supposed to be fundamentally almost every time. And you combine that with his toughness and his natural instincts, and all that combines for somebody. It gives the Kings exactly what they need on the defensive end a lot of the times.
Yeah, I've talked about this in the past, and my son played soccer forever, and he was always a defender. That's who he is. That's what he does. He's a guy who picks everybody off the ground and who tracks everybody down when someone gets a breakaway. Running down the field with the dribbling the ball. And when you try to put him in other positions on the court on the field, he keeps going backwards, and everyone's like, "Why are you going backwards? We need you to push up. We need you to go score a goal." He's like, "Well, that's not what I do." And that's kind of how I look at Keon Ellis. Like what he does is play defense. That's who he is. That's where he starts with everything. And the Kings don't have other players that are like that. Everybody else got to the NBA by being a really, really good offensive player, probably the best offensive player since the time they were 5 or 6 years old, all the way until the time they walked into the league. And Keon at the college level, at the high school level, probably at the junior high level, was a 3-and-D specialist. That's what he is. That's who he is. Kings have done a nice job of bringing him along as a ball handler. They had him play a lot of point guard last year at the G League level, and just to try to increase his skill level. They don't really need him to be a primary ball handler. What they need him to be is a secondary. And I think he's done a really nice job of working through that and becoming better and just more aware on the offensive end. But again, this is a player who is what the Kings need to be searching out. Now they found one of them. They need to go find a 6'7", a 6'8", a 6'9" version. And I mean all of those. They need 1 6'7", 1 6'8", 1 6'9", and maybe a 7-footer who has the same exact personality, so they can support the stars of this team. And that's what Keon is. He's a outstanding support piece. And we see, look around the league, like great teams have these guys. Great teams. Look at the Contavious Caldwell Popes or the Bruce Browns of the world, or Christian Brown that's on the Nuggets now. Like these types of players are so integral to what you're trying to do because they're able to they're selfless as players, and they're willing to go out there and do all of the dirty work without getting the reward. And every once in a while they do get the reward, but they're not banking on it, and they're also not asking for it. So yeah, I think more Keon Ellis's is a good thing for the Sacramento Kings.
Hammer, we've discussed at various lengths, at various points, even this week, about the Kings and their defensive effort and what they do defensively. And we were talking a couple of days ago about how that defense stuff is important, and I'm not trying to diminish it, but it feels like last night's game to me felt like it just came down to what the Kings were able to do offensively. And that's what we've wondered if Mike has truly embraced with this team. While we wonder what he says privately versus what he says publicly, how those two things weigh out, right? Like he talks about defense and preaching defense and all of that stuff. And I understand he wants this team to be better defensively. But the Sacramento Kings shot 53% from the field, 45% from three, and 81% from the free throw line. That's why they beat the Milwaukee Bucks the way that they did. And it didn't hurt that Milwaukee couldn't hit anything. I think Keon and all of the points you made about what they were doing to guard Dame Lillard and those guys last night was terrific. But the fact is they also missed a ton of wide open shots. And it's that conversation about what really matters for this team the most, what they do offensively or what they do defensively. And last night felt like one of those games where it's the offense that carries this team.
No, I get you. You want to say it's the offense that carries the team, but the Bucks shot like 36% from the field and 18% from three.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, there was open threes, yeah, but who shot those open threes? Like, were there a couple that weren't good, for the Sacramento Kings? But when you're playing the Bucks and you have to put so much pressure on Giannis, with throwing double teams and everything else, you can't defend everybody. And so the guys that you're going to really concentrate on is you're going to try to keep somebody near Brook Lopez so he doesn't get a wide open look, and you're going to do everything you can to stop Damian Lillard. If one of these other guys, whether it's Malik Beasley or it's, name that guy that they pulled off the bench that, some of them we'd never heard of, even like Bobby Portis shooting a couple of threes last night. If those guys beat you from three, you got to live with it because of what you have to do to stop Giannis and what you have to do to stop Dame. And so we can talk about the open looks, but what did Brook Lopez go 1 for 4 and Damian Lillard go 1 for 6 from three? The fact that Damian Lillard could only get 6 3-point attempts, and I don't remember any of them that were 100% clean, that's really good. And then if you look at some of the other, what these guys called the hot guys, the guys that you have to make sure that you have a body on, like it doesn't matter what some of these guys are shooting from three. You're just not going to send extra people at AJ Green. You're not going to send extra people at Pat Connaughton, even though they are really good 3-point shooters. You don't have that luxury when you're playing a team that's as talented as the Bucks. So the fact that Patrick Beverley took 3 shots from behind the arc, that's awesome. That's exactly what you want. The fact that he missed all 3 is exactly what you want. So if some of these open threes are Giannis open 3, again, Patrick Beverley open 3, that's fine because you have so much that you're doing to control the game outside of giving up those shots. So, but to get back to your question, like I think there is sort of a misnomer here about the Kings and Mike Brown not embracing the offense, and like he's doing the best he can. And Mike keeps talking about this. We've heard it a couple of times. Like if your kid is getting a C or a D in science, but an A in math, you don't just all of a sudden become like his math teacher and helping him and pushing him to be better at math. You have to go try to work with those deficiencies. You've got to try to get his C or his D in science up to a B or an A. And he's doing his best to do that, but at the same time, he is embracing the fact that this team scores. He's not telling them not to score, and the fact that guys miss shots, that's on them. It's not on a coach. It's the same offense they ran last year. Just look, you could say that maybe last year was an anomaly for some of these guys with their shooting percentages and stuff, but at the same time, like this year, you could also look at as the opposite as an anomaly, as guys that aren't hitting threes anywhere near where they would normally hit them, including Kevin Herter and Keegan Murray, and just name that king that's shooting below his 3-point percentage. Um, again, I think there is a happy medium here, but the fact that no team outside of like the Denver Nuggets last year were number 15 in the league in defensive rating. No team below that wins an NBA championship, and very few of them advance in the playoffs. If you can't play defense, you're going to get thumped in the playoffs. And he's got to work on that side of the ball. But I think people are misunderstanding. The Kings spend a lot of time working on their offense. Whether guys hit shots or not is become a huge issue, and that's not something that you want them to have happen, and it's not something players want to have happen, missing shots. But their idea is solid. The spray three is what Mike talks about all the time. It's getting into the paint, finding guys on the perimeter that are wide open. It's just guys got to hit shots at some point.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, and that's I know with me personally, that's where I feel this team wins or loses. I know defensively they got to be better. They've got to do, and this kind of what Dame was talking about, but it's really going to come down to their shot making, because very rarely are they in their offensive bag, so to speak, and they're scoring 115, 120, and they lose the game. Right? It's really hard for the rest of the league to keep up with these guys when they are making shots, when they have everything clicking on the offensive end. I mean, the numbers bear it out. I can't remember, we've had so many records and numbers and stuff like that and filters over the last couple of days, but there's something like 23-4 or something like that when they score 120 or more, or something like that. Like it, they got to play defense. You always got to play defense. It's never okay not to play defense, but what they do offensively is the key for this particular team, whether we like it or not, to whether or not they're going to win games.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way it was addressed at the trade deadline and coming into the season. They didn't go out and get defensive players, and that's okay. That's where Mike is tasked as a head coach, is to try to work with these guys the best he can to create them. But I think the stat that stands out, Brendan talked about this on the podcast on Monday, that the Kings seven times this season, they're 27% or below from three, and they're 0-7 in those games. Like, if they don't hit the three ball, they're not going to win. And, we saw it last night. And, like, we could pick apart Kevin Herter in the second half and how big of an impact he had, and how, he got picked up some fouls and stuff like that. But really, the tone was set in the first quarter with Kevin and with Harrison Barnes hitting every single three. And just blowing the Milwaukee Bucks off the court. There was this moment where you're just like hitting and hitting and hitting, and the Bucks almost looked like they let go of the rope. Like, if this is what we're getting tonight, we can't count on them missing free throws again in the final seconds and us coming back and beating them, especially if they're not hitting at the same clip. And so, yeah, I mean, live by the three, die by the three. But I kind of like the team last week that put up 76 points in the paint, 72 points in the paint, because I think that's another way that this team can win. I would just keep pointing out the disparity in the league, though, because it doesn't matter how many points in the paint the Kings get, they still don't get a single foul call. And that's got to be something that drives you bonkers. But I mean, look at the disparity last night. You got one team that's going to the rack, that's scoring in the paint, that's got Sabonis hammering dunk after dunk on top of Brook Lopez's head. Not one foul call on those things. And so like that for me, like the payoff isn't always there for the Kings, because if you don't hit the shot, you're not getting the call. And that's something that, it's part of being the Kings, but it's just like the inequity of the league right now, where you can't trust that you're going to get a fair shake.
We'll come back. We'll talk more with the man in the arena, James Ham, live from the Golden One Center. The Sacramento Kings take on the Los Angeles Lakers tonight, second night of a back-to-back. We'll talk about that game when Dylan Casey and James Ham return here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. It's driving me crazy that I can't hide this headphone thing. Oh, that's better.
You know where this cake came from?
Do I?
Asking James. James usually knows the office.
No, there was no cake when I left.
Wow, some good stuff. Shout out to the locker. I went to the locker yesterday. Man, it's phenomenal.
Locker's fire.
Did you guys get something?
Yeah, I got some of that the chocolate bar with the walnuts and the regular nuts. That I love those things.
Yeah.
You saw how I worded it.
You said
you saw how I worded it.
The officials got. Oh, wait a minute.
Hey,
wait a minute.
Hey,
wait a minute.
Oh, hey, no.
Hey. Oh, he put the flag.
We'll put
away.
it in the pocket. We'll put it in the pocket.
Wow.
No flag. No flag.
He put the flag away.
No.
Wow.
Hey, you don't know. Hey, stop doing all that. You know, hey, that's what they do when they try to argue with.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Jesse's looking at the film right now. He's looking at the monitor.
We got challenge flags too.
We do.
Hey, Figs, that's how you feel? Wow. That's what's up.
Currently in Berlin. Oh, all right. Hey, let's go. Let's go, baby. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, I was. So those are like Kind bars. That's what they're like our version of by Costco. So I was a little worried that they wouldn't be great, and I thought they were really good. Yeah, and so the little fig bars that are like Fruit Newtons, those are good too. And I've got more of all that stuff hiding in where Jesse's at. Studio One.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. I was in there talking to Jesse today, and I saw your little stash.
I need a storage room for the Fortress of Snackitude.
Kimmy can stash them and keep them safe, but no one goes into our studio except for us. So
yeah,
then the guy gonna come by. The thing gonna be full. He's like, "What the hell is going on around here?"
How come Kenny's Apple Pay hasn't been run 5 times this week?
That's right. Saving you some money, Kenny.
Imagine the vending machine guy going up to Kenny like, "Ken, what's going on, brother? Like, what are you doing?
We good, man? Everything? Are you mad at me?" Vending machine guy asking, "You mad at me, bro?"
I got a new distro.
We found that the fig bars kept giving us extras. They're not okay. So someone asked if they're Fruit Newtons. They're not Fig Newtons. They're like those though. They're like 200 calorie little pack that they're a breakfast bar. We have those. We have a cup of noodles. I could see Kenny get into a cup of noodles in there.
Nah, that would take too much. Like I got to do too much to eat that on air. I need something I can snack real quick.
That's true.
And enjoy my food.
And then we got the Skinny Pop and we got the Hawaiian chips.
I had some Skinny Pop today. Yeah, some Skinny Pop.
Yep. Somebody asked about my hatred of Kawhi Leonard. I don't hate Kawhi Leonard. I just look, you had back spasms, and you left the game and you went home. I think your team probably could have used you there.
Yeah, he shouldn't have went home. Yeah, he shouldn't have went home.
Well, I mean, that's where you get treatment is right there. So,
that's a little excessive. It's a little
that's
extra.
all.
Well,
Like,
like
I would've-
you probably don't want him sitting on the bench, though, right?
Oh, he could stay in the building.
Yeah,
Like,
at
you
least
can
wait
stay-
around. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
My point was that Gary Gerald had back spasms last night as well, and he called the whole game.
Okay, well, that's not the same.
Well, I'm not
Because
saying that Kawhi needed to play. I'm not
Gary's
saying that.
indestructible.
Gary is indestructible, and he's undefeated.
That's true. As Jason Ross is well aware of. And Jason Ross has called 3 games in the last decade. Because G-Man will not miss a game. Expected to practice with team on Friday.
Who's that?
Stefan.
Yeah, I had a
Good
meeting, so I didn't get to see the whole situation with Trey Lyles or anything. I haven't been able to check anything.
Yeah, it's just on the injury report. I didn't see anything about it. He's just listed as out on the injury report.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it last night. He all of a sudden was hopping around.
Yeah, did he bang knees? Is that what happened? Or did he?
I don't think so.
I didn't see him roll it. Roll it. It says he has a sprained knee. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was away from. It looked like it
Hang
was
on,
away
Hammer.
from the ball. All right.
Oh, okay. We're back with 1320 Kings Insider of the Insiders, our man James Ham. Just check the latest.
No, go ahead, because there's something where we can't let this day go by without addressing something. Go ahead though, to the late, because we need to know what the injury report is.
Well, it hasn't changed.
Okay.
It's very anticlimactic. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make it like it was.
Well, what is it? Maybe
Trey
somebody
Lyles
just
is still
get in.
no. Trey Lyles is still out. Sasha's obviously still out. Keegan and Kevin are listed as questionable, as is LeBron James.
LeBron's really is questionable?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He
Well,
was
I think
questionable last night.
I think LeBron's always questionable.
Yeah, he's playing.
Yeah. No, I think they do this, and I don't mean this in any like shade. I think they do this to where if they got to make a decision to not play him, it doesn't become the Lakers are fined $1 million or whatever. Yeah, right. Like he stays on the injury. Anthony Davis is on the injury report. He's listed as probable. Yeah. They're always on the injury
there ain't
report.
Even nothing,
yeah, they're always on the
going
injury
on
report.
with AD. They just got religiously probable. But no, what I wanted to talk about real quick, and we just had to address, we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it, but these things need to be called out. You see your boy SGA last night?
I don't believe I did.
Yes, you see him?
Real shameful behavior yesterday. I don't know if I want to give him the MVP.
James, did you see him?
No.
What
did I miss?
The Thunder were down 10 with about, we'll say 17 seconds left.
Okay.
As the Pacers inbound the ball, SGA fouls so they can go to the line. They make their 2. SGA gets the ball out of bounds, sprints down court so he can get the layup and tie like Kevin Durant for most 30-point games or something like that.
Yeah, he Devin Bookered it.
Oh.
No, I'm not even capping. It was like a 10-point game with 15 seconds to go.
That is.
And the Pacers had the ball.
Trash.
Oh.
That is flaming hot garbage.
Yeah, because the Pacers weren't even like guarding the last possession when he scored or whatever.
Yeah.
The end of the game.
They were like walking off the court.
It's like that time Bobby Sura tried to throw the ball off the opposite backboard. So he
Ricky
another
Davis.
rebound.
That's the class, the GOAT, Ricky Davis, Iowa GOAT, Ricky Davis.
But I think he took it from Bob Sura. Bob Sura did it first. He did it years ago. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. Come on, man.
He should be getting killed for that, is he? Because I don't watch them shows.
I don't know. Definitely not on the shows. I saw it on Twitter, on NBA Twitter. People, that's how I saw it. So it's making a little bit of the rounds with that, but yeah, it's kind of whack. And I like SGA. That's pretty whack.
Yeah,
That's
that
crazy.
really is trash. I'm watching it right now. Just sprints down the. Oh, that is such trash. Yeah, that's trash. Well, I sure hope Brian Windhurst says, SGA just lost his MVP, just like he did with Jason Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
The SGA he just lost his MVP. Whole season erased. Because of that move from SGA.
All these dudes be stat padding. and I'm not even necessarily criticizing it, but like, don't act like you don't. You know what I'm saying? Don't act like you don't. That's all I would say. And don't, when somebody's stat padding, don't turn a blind eye to it like it's not happening. Like, SGA, we see you stat pad, dog. You get your numbers, but we see it.
Yeah, we'll start calling you Luca.
Well.
Anyways, Kings play
Anyway.
like no King stat padding. Though Malik's really good at stats.
Just flat out stats.
Man, Hammer.
Flat out numbers.
Malik over the last 6 games, 23, 5, and 6 on 18 shot attempts. He's back on that stuff, man. He's playing otherworldly again.
No, he's been spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. And not only that, but like, again, he is so refreshing to talk to. He's fun. He always is. I mean, there's a lot of profanity, so we can't use it on the air half the time. But there's just a joy to him just as a human. Like he just is a fun-loving dude who just, walks around the earth having a good time. And you see it out on the court. I thought he brought like some moxie to that game against the Bucks, and the Bucks didn't have an answer. Even Jay Crowder like poked his head into the media room while Malik was up talking and said something to him like talk your game or whatever. And it was just like the ultimate respect after the game, like, hey man, you busted us up and you had a good time doing it and you were talking trash the whole time. So yeah, he's about as big a player for the Sacramento Kings as you can find, and they're gonna have to figure some stuff out this summer.
No, don't remind me. Don't remind me because they can't.
They don't have stuff to figure out. They got one thing to figure out. You've got one thing to figure out.
By any means necessary, you've got to make your best offer. And what I mean by that is you might have to get grimy. You might have to be like Nick Nolte. You might have to send somebody in his family a tractor.
James Ham will bring you Skinny Pop every game if you re-sign here.
You're going to have to get creative.
Right.
In kind bars.
You have to get creative, and you might have to get a little grimy because you can't lose him. You cannot lose him. I'm all for sticking in the moment. This team's trying to make the playoffs this year, and we stay locked in on that. But I can't help but watch him and say they can't lose him. They have, outside of Fox, they have nothing like him on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing remotely close.
Well, even Fox is different.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, they don't have anyone who brings that type of energy. And I don't even know how to, like, there just aren't very many players in the league like him. So I don't know what that translates dollar-wise. And, we've talked about what his salary could be. I mean, I guess there is a world in which the Kings find a way for, someone to take on a couple of contracts and dump salary and get below the salary cap and try to retain him in a different way. But as far as team building, it's nearly impossible to do that.
I don't mean to cut you off. How would that be? Like, what does that look like? Would that
be the Domas situation, right?
Well, would that be like let him be a free agent and then sign him to a bigger contract that way?
Well, yeah. I mean, the reason why the Kings can't go above the your basic, they have early bird rights to them, right? So as of right now, the Kings have, like, I know this gets slightly confusing. They have Malik, who has early bird rights. Then they have a mid-level exception, which is going to be around $13 million, and then they have the biannual exception, which is going to be $5 or $6 million, which isn't that bad. So you have all these mechanisms, right, that you can go out and sign players. In a perfect world for the Kings, I believe at this point, unless he were to get way more money from someone else, I don't know. In a perfect world, they would basically do something like sign him. Like give him the 17-4 and then like revisit it down the road. That's what they would do. And like 2 years down the road or a year down the road, you can try to renegotiate and get him a longer term, bigger, better deal. But if you have to start, like if you trade players away and you take nothing back, or you trade a player away and say you trade away a player who makes $16 million, but you only take back, $10 million in salary because the other team's got some cap space. there you save $6 million. You could incrementally try to get well below the salary cap and pay Malik Monk, but that's what it would take. And on top of that, when you drop below the salary cap, you always have to remember that if the cap is at 145, that includes your mid-level and your biannual exceptions. So if you don't get low enough, you actually don't even get to pay those guys. Like, you can't use those mechanisms to go out and sign other players as well.
Oh, there's a lot.
Scott Hall's coming. Wait, watch out, James. Yeah. Watch out.
See, look, James is being jumped on the radio. We got your back, James. It's all on film. We've got this. Who's the culprit? We'll take care of it.
Hey, they're going to start setting up stuff behind me. Yeah. No, I mean, this is a functional room that the Kings use. It's Dan Speckman let me in. Thanks to Dan. Said, hey, use this room. I'm like, okay.
Thanks.
So now we got people working in the background.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. So, like, sorry if that got confusing, but like,
no, that was confusing as hell. So whatever. No,
I just
sign the league moves back.
No, I mean, that's it, right? Yeah.
I would
also a lot of ways to do it.
I would just caution everybody, be aware when James says stuff like that. He said that about Domas like a year ago.
Yeah. And
then it happened.
And people still didn't understand it. How?
People in the game didn't understand it. Like, people who do what James does didn't understand it.
People who are general managers.
Well,
who are in front offices.
Former general manager. Certainly not our general manager.
No.
Yeah.
Hammer, why do you think the Lakers, or why do you think the Kings are such a tough matchup for the Lakers?
It's a really good question. I think one of the reasons is the Lakers surround their two stars with a bunch of offensive players. And, like Rui Hachimura is really tough to defend, but for the 29 points he scored against the Kings the other night, I don't even know if he ran a positive plus minus. He's a guy who gives it all back. And I don't think Austin Reeves is a great defender. I know D'Angelo Russell isn't a good defender. And so much weight, falls on LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And even off the bench, they just don't have a lot of depth when it comes to, defensive-minded guys. They do have some guys, their injury report we don't really talk about because, the LeBron is questionable thing, but Christian Wood is out, and they have Jared Vanderbilt is out, and some of their guys, Gabe Vincent and Cam Reddish, like, these guys are better defenders than some of the players they're running out there to defend at this point. I just think they're not a good defensive team, and the Kings have elite guards in Fox and Monk, and they don't have anyone to match up against those guys. And then the one superstar advantage that you have is that you have LeBron James, but how much can he do at age 39? And then Anthony Davis is just not a great matchup with Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah, they got nobody that can guard De'Aaron Fox. He is.
Yeah.
I wish I had the numbers in front of me, but it feels like in the last 2 years, maybe even more, he's averaging probably 35, 36 points a game against him. They have no answer for him. And now you throw Malik Monk into that equation, who's another shifty guard that can put pressure on you offensively. And I was talking about how they're kind of caught in a conundrum when they play these guys. Maybe they have some guys on the perimeter that can defend, but they're not the offensive players, so you lose a little bit on offense. And then if you want to have your D'Los and your Austin Reeves out there, now you're taking a big hit on the defensive end. It really is just a tough matchup for these guys, for the Lakers.
Yeah, I think it's matchup. And then again, if you look at the big man battle, I mean, it's epic. But Anthony Davis is the type of player that Domantas Sabonis just shoves around and pushes him under the basket and goes up and scores on him. And I don't think it's a surprise that he's 9-0 career wise against Anthony Davis, but I don't know that it's a surprise that he has a winning record against Davis. He's just a guy who takes advantage of mismatches about as well as anyone in the league. And Anthony Davis can put up points and stuff, but he's given it all back on the other end to Domas. And even the way Domas defended him last time out was spectacular. I would say, though, Trey Lyles was really, really good against the Lakers last time, defending both LeBron and AD. And they're going to miss him tonight with him out.
I just saw a funny graphic on TV. At least it made me laugh. They were showing Nikola Jokic.
Uh-huh.
And it said, Nikola Jokic, 6 triple-doubles since the All-Star break. Second most, behind only Luka Doncic. I thought that was fantastic that they just avoided the season-long triple-doubles and just focused on since the All-Star break. Of course, I had to check, and our guy has 4. So I had to take a peek at that. Hey, but salute to those guys who have the most triple-doubles since the All-Star break.
That's what I'm saying. They gotta find a way.
I'm sure they're very proud.
They gotta find a way.
That's like Buddy Hield being behind Steph in three-point shooting since December 3rd, and then December 17th, and then January 1st, and then January 19th. Shout out to that NBC Sports California broadcast, boy. They worked really hard to keep Buddy's name as close to Steph as humanly possible. Salute to everybody out there. Salute.
Big ups.
James, what do you feel about tonight? I think we had pretty good vibe. Well, I think we had pretty good vibes headed into last night's game.
You probably had better vibes than I did.
I just felt like at some point you have to beat Milwaukee. You can't lose to them forever. Like, it's just impossible to lose to the Milwaukee Bucks forever. And they did it for 7 years, but still, they got to win yesterday. You know, there's that feeling about, hey, like, at some point the Lakers have to win, right? We've laid out all day why this is a difficult matchup for them. This is a game where the Kings can really establish momentum for the first time because of, you know, the way tiebreakers work and all of this different stuff. This puts them up into the 6th spot tonight with Phoenix headed into that game against Boston. It's a chance to really kind of take control of things. Now, the pace of the season, the flow of the season says, well, if all of that is what happens if they win, they're going to lose. They've been in this position before, but I also think the Kings are aware of that. So I'm kind of even. I don't feel one way or another about this game. I'm just kind of even. What do you think about this game tonight, Hammer? 4th one against the Lakers.
I think I'm going in with the mentality in every game from here on out that, like, I have no idea, and that it's probably better to think that they're going to lose and then they'll surprise you, because it seems like every time I feel like they're going to lose, they don't. And every time I think there's no way they could lose this game, they lose. So I'm just going to go in with the mentality that, oh, you're probably going to lose. My biggest concern for tonight, realistically, is a depth. You know, if you don't have Trey, if there's some way that Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray can't go, you're already down Sasha Vezenkov. I mean, if there's a world where no Sasha, which has been out for a long time, but no Trey Lyles, no Keegan Murray, and that leaves you with Harrison Barnes as your top 4 forwards, and that's it. And then if somehow Kevin Huerter isn't there and he's the guy that you've been putting at the small forward to fill in, you literally are missing like 5 of your rotational pieces that play at that position. And I don't know how the Kings make up for that when you're going into a game with a team that has not only LeBron James, but Anthony Davis and Rui Hachimura, who, again, can score. Now, they can go small. They can do all kinds of things and get by for a couple of games doing some trickery stuff. But that's what I think it's going to take if you're down that many players. I mean, look at what the Lakers, how many players the Lakers are down. Their depth is substantially hurt by the fact that they've got 4 guys who might not all be rotational players, but that are at least fringe rotational players for them. And to not have any of those options is really difficult. So, it's going to be a tough one.
They, with them being possibly down so many people, and I think you might see Kobe Jones tonight, and I'm not mad at that. I like Kobe Jones. He's been going crazy in the G League a couple times in the last few games, and he's the type of guy, almost a Keon Ellis like player, that's going to come in, give you energy, know his role, defend, and he could probably hit the occasional jump shot for you as well. I wouldn't mind if Kevin Huerter can't go, seeing Kobe Jones getting some minutes out there tonight.
Yeah, that's always a possibility. I mean, the guard depth is still like one of the biggest spots for the Kings that you can point to. There's Chris Duarte came in last night and was firing away and looked like he was ready to play. So, I mean, the Kings do have guard depth, and they might even have to ask a guy like Duarte to slide over and play the small forward. It just depends on who's going to be able to play once you get to tip-off time. It's this is a position that so many teams around the league are in all the time, and the Kings just aren't, where you're looking at a shorthanded roster. And I don't know that they have the pieces. I like Colby Jones. I think that he's going to be a ball player. I think that's what you kind of hear from around here, that the Kings like him too, and they think that he's got a lot of potential. But he's also barely played in the NBA, and he's a player who's jack of all trades, master of none. And so those guys, he can go in and play for 10, 15 minutes probably tonight and make a bit of an impact, but he could also hurt you here and there just because he's young and inexperienced.
Well, De'Aaron, Malik, and Domas are master of a lot of trades, so they got to cook tonight.
Yes.
I'm anxious to see how they come out in this game, simply because obviously they looked tremendous last night. They came out really rough against Los Angeles the first go around, and I don't know that there's another 19-point comeback in them. Or from the Lakers' perspective, I don't know if there's another 19-point letdown from there. So the start of this game, I'll be really, really locked into. James, appreciate you as always. We'll let